They say every country has a dish that feeds the stomach, but only the Philippines has a dish that feeds the soul. This story begins with a simple pot. A pot no one expected would change the destiny of three strangers: a tired foreign backpacker, a Filipino tricycle driver with more problems than pesos, and a grandmother who had already buried more heartbreak than most people could imagine. And all it took was one simmering pot of food, the dish Filipinos call the ultimate test of belonging. A dish so powerful that once you share it, you stop being a stranger, you become family. But before I tell you what that dish is and the moment that turned strangers into something unbreakable, I need to start at the very beginning, with a traveler who came to the Philippines expecting beaches, sunsets, and cheap tours, but who ended up discovering something far more rare: the feeling of being adopted by a nation. His name was Noah, a 22-year-old European tourist who booked a one-way ticket to Manila because he wanted adventure. What he didn't know was that adventure isn't what the Philippines gives you. It gives you connection. He arrived in the middle of the humid afternoon, sweat dripping, backpack heavy, and patience thin. He had gotten lost 3 times already. Google Maps betrayed him. His hostel wasn't answering the phone, and all he wanted was a cold drink, a shower, and silence. But life had other plans. When he finally reached the tricycle terminal, he met Mang Rodel, a man with sunburnt arms, slippers older than his youngest child, and a smile that hid exhaustion. "Sir, saan punta?" he asked. Noah didn't understand the words, but he felt the warmth, the very Filipino warmth that arrives before the English translation. He handed over the address and they started the ride. But halfway through the narrow streets of Mandaluyong, the tricycle suddenly stopped. Out of gas, Noah's frustration exploded. He didn't shout, but his face said everything. Sweaty, tired, lost, and now stranded with a stranger who was just trying to make an honest day's living. Mang Rodel scratched his head, embarrassed. "Sorry, sir, wait lang ha, I get gas." But before he could walk away, a voice from a nearby house called out, "Hoy! Rodel, bakit ka nakatigil dyan? Halika dito, may pagkain." A grandmother stepped out, Lola Esther, small, wrinkled, barefoot, and glowing with the kind of kindness that makes you question your entire belief about humanity. She looked at Noah, and in true Filipino fashion, she didn't see a tourist. She saw a hungry child. "Anak, kumain ka muna, come. Don't be shy." Noah didn't know what she said, but he knew the invitation was real. Inside her small home, the air smelled like something he had never experienced. Smoky, salty, sour, warm, comforting. A scent that felt like a blanket. A huge pot sat in the middle of the wooden table, steam rising, aroma pulling everyone closer. And inside was sinigang. But not just any sinigang. The kind that tastes like the rain outside. The kind that reminds every Filipino of childhood, monsoon days, and home. The kind that makes grown men close their eyes after the first sip. Lola Esther handed Noah a bowl. He took a spoonful. And at that exact moment, the moment the broth touched his tongue, something inside him softened. The sourness was gentle, not sharp. The vegetables were tender. The pork melted. And the warmth spread through his chest like a memory he never had. He didn't know it, but he had just tasted the Philippines in its purest form. Filipinos don't just eat sinigang. They heal with it. They grieve with it. They celebrate with it. They welcome with it. It is the dish you serve when someone arrives. The dish you serve when someone is hurting. The dish you serve when you want to say without words, "You belong here." As they ate, the rain outside grew louder, drumming on the tin roof. Power flickered, but no one cared. Because in that tiny home, something bigger was happening. Mang Rodel started talking about his family. 5 kids, 1 sick mother, bills stacking up like enemies. Lola Esther shared her story. Her husband gone, her children working abroad, her house quiet most days until visitors break the silence. And then, Noah shared his story, the real one. Not the story he posts on Instagram. He had just survived a difficult year. Breakup, loneliness, depression, feeling like he had no direction, no anchor, no one who truly cared. And as he spoke, his voice broke. He didn't expect to cry, not in a stranger's house, not in a country he didn't understand, not in front of people he met only 30 minutes ago. But Lola Esther just touched his shoulder gently. "Anak, you're safe here." That was the moment everything changed. Suddenly, he wasn't a foreigner. He wasn't a tourist. He wasn't someone passing through. He was family. And all because of a simple dish that carried the entire Filipino soul in its broth. After eating, Lola wrapped leftover sinigang in a container for him. An act so normal to Filipinos, yet so unbelievable to outsiders. Mang Rodel refused to charge him for the tricycle ride. "Libre na sir, you're my guest now. Guest family." These words meant something different in the Philippines. For Filipinos, being poor isn't about money. It's about having no one to share the table with. And being rich isn't about wealth. It's about having enough to offer someone else a seat. As Noah prepared to leave, the rain finally stopped. The roads shimmered. The smell of sinigang still lingered on his clothes, and his heart, once heavy, felt strangely light. A single bowl had done what months of therapy couldn't. It made him feel he mattered. The next day, something unexpected happened. He returned, and the next, and the next. He visited Lola Esther every day of his trip. Sometimes they ate adobo, sometimes pancit, sometimes just bread and coffee. But once a week, there was always sinigang. He helped Mang Rodel fix his tricycle, played with the neighborhood kids, learned Tagalog words, and felt, maybe for the first time in years, like he belonged somewhere. By his last day in the Philippines, the community held a small send-off for him. Plastic chairs, soft drinks in plastic, kids running barefoot. A perfect Filipino gathering. Lola handed him a handwritten note, only 6 words. "You will always have a home." He cried again, harder this time, because he knew it was true. Back in Europe, he couldn't forget them. He couldn't forget the kindness, the warmth, the way a simple bowl of sinigang had rewired his entire understanding of life. So he did something crazy. He booked another ticket, not for adventure, not for vacation, but to return home. When he walked into Lola's house again, she didn't scream, she didn't jump. She simply smiled, a smile that said, "Anak, you're back." The pot was already waiting, steam rising, aroma filling the entire house. The dish that turned strangers into family, sinigang. The dish that taught him home isn't a place. Home is the people who feed you when you're lost, who sit with you when you're hurting, who make space for you, even when their own space is small. The dish that showed him, Filipinos aren't rich in money, they're rich in heart. They don't serve food, they serve comfort, warmth, belonging, the kind of belonging the world desperately needs. And so the story ends not with a goodbye, but with a table, 3 people side by side, laughing, eating, belonging, a foreigner, a tricycle driver, and a grandmother. Not strangers, not visitors, but family, all because of one bowl, one dish. One moment of Filipino generosity that the world will never understand until they taste it. So if you ever find yourself lost, overwhelmed, or searching for something you can't describe, go to the Philippines. Find a small home, a steaming pot, a bowl filled with warmth and memory. Because somewhere in this country, someone is stirring a pot that has healed hearts for generations. And maybe, just maybe, they're saving a bowl for you. And that, right there, is the Filipino dish that turns strangers into family. If this story touched your heart, imagine the thousands more waiting to be told. Here at Holistic News Expo, we don't just share stories. We share the pieces of humanity that remind us how connected we really are. If you felt warmth, if you learned something new, or if this reminded you of the kindness that still exists in our world, make sure you stay with us. Hit subscribe, tap the notification bell, and join a community that believes in compassion, culture, and truth. This is Holistic News Expo, where every story brings us a little closer together.